Osio. I hope y'all are doing pretty good. Staying cool. You know, it's been pretty hot. Yesterday I'll get it out. We reached here in Arkansas. It was around like 100, 101. And then you kind of add the heat index to it. Yeah, it's much hotter, more humid. And the winters here, they fluctuate. You know, whether you get a lot of cold or, you know, a little cold. Sometimes once in a great while, we'll get snow. But not like you do like in the state of Michigan or Minnesota, you know, North, South Dakota and such. You know, you don't get snow like that here. Now, there's been 2 times in my life that I recall that we got a pretty good snow. I think it was probably somewhere between like 10 inches, 11, 12 inches of snow. Alright, and the first time I recall that was back when I was 10 years old. And it happened in March. Yeah. And I remember that real well because I got pelted with snowballs about 10 times because the other kids in the neighborhood found out it was my birthday, so they decided to pelt me with snowballs. And what they did was they'd take the snowball, dip it in some water, and then pack some more snow on it and then hit me with it. Yeah. That was real fun. I pelted them back, mind you. And then, turn around when I was about in my 20s. And somewhere around in my 20s, it happened. It was around close to Thanksgiving, somewhere around in there. But anyway, yeah, we don't get much snow. Did you ever stop to think and look back on your childhood? Yeah. It's always funny, ain't it? The things that we can get into, the mischievousness and all this, the dare and do, you know. Yeah. I recall once, back when I was probably about 11. No, yeah, I was about 10 or 11 years old. And now, the big thing going on back then was Evel Knievel. Yeah, we wanted to all be like Evel Knievel on our bicycles. We wanted to do the stunts that he did. There was a downhill decline. We'd get up there on top of the hill, and we had a ramp. That thing would... we would make test runs. We wouldn't actually go up on the ramp. We'd stop just before we went up the ramp. But we doing our little test runs. And I had friends. It was David Hooten and Jeff Hooten. And there was another one there. His name was Brooksy. And then there was my brother, you know, and myself, and we was all going to be like Evel Knievel, you know. So now Jeff Hooten was the stunt man. He was the one, even though he had asthma pretty bad, he didn't let that stop him for nothing. But a sudden change his brother wanted to be the stunt man. So all of a sudden, he gets up there on the hill on his bike, and then he comes down, and we're sitting there watching, we're holding our breath. Now, mind you, we didn't stop to think about how that ramp was set. And that ramp was went up maybe about 10, 15 feet. And this was all from 2x4s and plywood. And so anyway, David Hooten was, we used to call him Turtle, because some way he'd remind you of a turtle, and he had his thick Coke bottle lens glasses, and there he goes, just ripping down there like, man, there was no tomorrow. If there would have been, it'd have probably been flames coming out from them tires, He was lickety-split, boy. He was going and up he went. Now, see, it went all wrong. Oh, yeah. It went very wrong. There was a vines from the tree. There was, some woods there, and we never thought this through. And there he goes, and he went just like Evel Knievel, boy. We was we was sitting there like, oh boy, this is gonna be cool if he survives it. We're doing it. So anyway, he's like this, flying through the air. There were the vines coming through from one tree to another at the top. Man, he must have been about, it looked like, I don't know, maybe 16, 18 feet in the air. Maybe more, maybe 20. He hits that back wheel, catches that vine, flips him over, everything whoosh, like that, and then he falls off. He lands. He hits right on his back, laying there. You could hear the air go out of his lungs like, but louder than that. And the bike just kept going and tumbling, and then about a few feet from him or so, landed. It's a good thing it didn't hit him. But anyway, we went all over, and his brother just saying, David. He wasn't saying nothing, he was real still. He was just staring up to the sky, Oh, I'll tell you what. Next thing you know, Jeff Hooten is sitting there crying. I killed my brother. We killed him. He's dead. Just the tears and the snot was coming down. And then next thing you know, yeah. He answered. He moved, and he says, I can't feel my leg. Oh, he broke his back. But we're all sitting there thinking the same thing. We're thinking, oh no. And we're in trouble. See, we first thought he had dead, and we were thinking, we're going to get put in prison for murder. But anyway, next thing you know, I don't know who it was, someone went and took off running to tell Jeff and David's mother what happened. So she's running, crying, and calling his name, screaming his name out, And, he said, I can't move my legs, We just knew, And the next thing you know, he moved his legs. And so there was a little bit of relief, there for us. But we was still worried because here comes Mrs. Hooten. And fire and flames and tears were in her eyes, and it's like, uh-oh. If she tells our parents, boy, we're in big trouble. Well, she didn't. But, boy, she let us all know that we were nuts and crazy. And, you know, what has got into y'all? What may possess you to do this, you know? So she said, you're going to tear this thing down and get it out of here quick. Now. And we did. We moved like the devil himself was after our tails. Yeah. It's funny about the stuff we get into as little kids. Yep. Them were the Evel Knievel days. But we would just stick to the milder stuff. Pop wheelies, you know, jump off culverts, you know, that wasn't very high off of the ground. The culverts wasn't maybe about 4 feet off of the ground and stuff. We would limit our stunts. Ride without touching the handlebars, which I got pretty good at it as a kid. Yeah. But yeah, those were the days. But it's funny, as humans, you know, adults, human beings, we forget the lessons, you know, that we had learned when we were kids. And we carry it on to our adult life. And a good example is this crazy nonsense that's going on out around the world. A person don't know if they're a human or a dog, a hawk or a human, or a cat or a human. They don't know. A boy don't know if he's a girl or a it, or they, or them. And the same with a girl. A girl don't know if she's a she and thinks she's a he, and or they, them, and it, and etc. And they don't. Their minds are all twisted. It's just crazy. Now, when we was all kids and we would have seen that stuff, you know, going on back in those days, we would have. Yeah. We would have said, we don't want to be adults. If it makes you lose your mind, but then again, you know, I mean, now you see kids being affected. Crazy, huh? Well, I said all that for this, is that we need to learn, you know, our lessons in life, you know, to have common sense, to use that, to use good judgment. And while we're doing it, to make sure that we respect others. Now, we don't give respect to those who don't give respect. You know, they don't even know what the meaning of the word is. But the thing is, we're supposed to respect others, care for one another. Life is short. You're not promised tomorrow, not one bit. So you be careful in this life. Make sure you're making right choices. There is a left path and there's a right path. One straight and narrow, another is crooked and turns to a broad freeway that only leads to more trouble and nothing good. So, when you're out there, you know, and you're meeting others, especially those who even, you know, can't fend for themselves, who are actually helpless, or those who are put in a position of life that they didn't ask for. Maybe they're homeless, they're hungry, they would love a good job, but can't find one. Or they got fired from a job and they got bills stacking up and they have no way to know how to pay it. But if one has the means to do so, help them. And if you don't, if you know someone who does, see about getting that person the help that they need from the person that has the means to help them. But don't turn others away, because it could be you. So, love one another, care for one another, have common sense in life. Because remember, you're not promised tomorrow. And, if you're wondering what's going on, chickens are sitting there having a little conniption here, and I'll go into that another time. But anyway, I thought I would share that little tidbit with y'all. Just think about your life, because you're not promised tomorrow. And make everything in this life now count. But not just with each other. The one you got to please, most of all, is the beautiful, great one. He is the one you got to stand before sooner or later. So love one another, pray for one another, and think about what it's like, to be in the other person's shoes. And before you pass judgment, really consider what it would be like in their situation. What has caused them to be the way that they are. And yes, and it's a hard thing to do. Let me end it with this. It is so very hard, but you got to do it. I mean it. But from the heart, forgive your enemies, those who hate you, who mistreat you. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. Because even Yeshua, Jesus has said so. If you want to be forgiven, forgive others. Hard pill to swallow, but you will feel better in the long run. And it's hard, but you can do it with His help. Alright, so I'll let you guys go, and I will catch you later, and I want to say, Wado. I appreciate you watching. And if you like this, hit the like and hit the subscribe, and comment, please. And I hope I will see you again, especially on a live. Feel free to always join in on a live, and you're always free to join up on the panel. And don't be shy about asking to come up on the panel. So anyway, you take care, and again, let me say Wado and Aho.